Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Preppers Fireside. And today I'm joined by Dave, the urban survivalist. How you doing, Dave?
I'm good, my friend. Yourself?
I'm excellent, as always. Brian, the Scottish Prepper 73. How are you doing? Look at the Pepsi advertisement's already started.
I actually turned it round so you could see it.
We're gonna get an injunction from Coca-Cola if you carry on with the shameless Pepsi promotion.
It'll just be blurred out.
In the chat, first through the gates was Stuart Lonnan, Reese Omega Zebra Peppers in the house. Gary Crawford's there. Miss Worm are absolutely awesome, sometimes slightly inappropriate. Moderator is there, kicking everybody's ass if they're not don't do as they're told. Rod Solar UK and Brown Coat Prepper UK in the house. There's loads of people in there. Lady J's in the house. Rift Security, Jay the Grey, and Polonium. And 49 other people. I'm sorry if I don't call your name. I'll try and get to as much chats and comments as I can, but I don't always see it. So, tonight is the Prepper Dream. What we should all aspire to. Self-sufficiency, right? And this isn't just one set of self-sufficiency. This is everything. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be Brian's bit. Is energy self-sufficiency. Now, lots of us have backup energy, lots of us have backup gas, backup solar power and stuff like that. But is it self-sufficient? Brian, at what level can you be classed as self-sufficient in that? Do you have to be completely off-grid or just having enough backup?
I think you've got enough backups for the backups because seasonally, solar, because of our climate, it's not dependable year on. It just isn't. You wouldn't be able to be truly self-sufficient with the solar we've got, unless you had land and you overpaneled and had a huge array. So in that scenario, with enough battery storage, possibly might be able to do it. But if you had that sort of land and possibly a stream with enough head of water, I'd go for a small hydro scheme.
Yeah.
Even though it's only doing 250, 500 watts, it's doing it all the time.
It's constant,
Yeah. So that's the primary advantage with that.
Yeah. Dave, does power and energy come into your self-sufficiency?
Not really. I think you have to be aware of it, obviously, because a lot of the things that I use for growing and stuff like that, without power, they don't exist. So, I mean, I try and keep as traditional and old school as possible. You know, batteries, power banks, whatever I've got at the time. You know, candles, torches, but it would definitely come into play because I think without power, a lot of the stuff we do at the moment wouldn't be possible. So that way we'd have to go back to old school ways of that as well. So yeah.
How much does your your food grows and stuff rely on electricity at the moment, and how much could be switched off?
Well, it's basically accelerating the seed growth and stuff like that. So it can be done without,
right?
To be honest, so
just a longer process.
But it's like I showed you like an example of the light system and heat mat system and stuff we have. That's just the sort of like because of the logistics of my garden. So I've got a greenhouse there that is covered by a huge tree, so only half of it works basically. So basically, it's like I kind of like we do this to help with the greenhouse growing. So like we can literally do the seeds, get them all started, put them in the greenhouse, get them ready for the allotment. Because I've got a greenhouse up the allotment as well.
Yeah.
So if I didn't live in the place I did, then I wouldn't need the electricity at all. But I think we've had to adapt for the situation we're in at the moment.
Yeah. In the comments, Miss Worm said, "I want that on a t-shirt. Awesome, but sometimes inappropriate."
we want that in a t-shirt.
We can arrange that. Kelly I says, the one thing I currently don't have is micro hydro system, although I have an eye on a potential 500 watt stream around 100 meters away from my property. There you go. Do you think, I mean, that's all right in SHTF, but it would have to be on your property, right, Brian? If you were going to set that up.
If you're going to do it legally, yeah.
Yeah.
Although if it was an unmonitored boundary, an unadopted land, you could possibly go for the 12-year rule as long as you're maintaining it. But yeah, in SHTF, all bets are off.
Yeah, of course. Right, so that's energy. Obviously, the next one is water. Now, self-sufficiency with water can be difficult. I mean, a lot of preppers in the States have wells on the land and stuff like that, but we have to stockpile. But take out the bottled water, take out the water butts that you've filled up prior. What ongoing preps have you got in place to maintain a water supply, Dave?
Well, basically, the first idea is to find out where you can obtain water if the water goes down. Okay, yeah. So it's like, and I always suggest this to people: get a local area map, or as far as you can out that you can travel to by foot and not car. Mark all areas of interest. So if you've got any streams, you've got any like reservoirs or lakes or whatever in the area. Now we have a lot of different water filtration systems. I have things like the water to go system.
Yep.
Which is a bottle. Again, they're not that cheap. But I do have a discount, shameless plug. I do have a 30% discount on my YouTube channel. So there you go.
There's a reason to get over if you've not already.
And basically, they filter out viruses, so you don't have to technically boil the water.
Can I ask you a quick question on that one before you carry on? How long did they last? How much water can they process?
I don't think it's a lot, to be honest. Off the top of my head, I think it's something like 1,000 liters. That's just out there. Where the soya water filtration system that I've got will do 100,000.
Yeah.
Now my wrecking water filtration system that I have in the house will last for a year. I think it's saying like 100,000 liters of water it can go through it. So we have lots of different ways of doing it. So if I'm out camping, I'll take the soya, I'll take the water to go, and at home, literally these systems I have, they've taken on safari and they've stuck them in a lake, and they've put the water through. They don't get rid of viruses, so you would have to boil it. It clears the water. But literally, I could take that or bring buckets of water from the local lake or stream, chuck it through that. It gets rid of all the microchemicals, the plastics, the hormones, the drugs, everything nasty in there, the bacteria and stuff like that. So that's what we got in place. For home system, we've got the wrecking water system. For outdoor systems, we've got the water to go and the soya water filters.
Cool. No chance of digging a well under the house then?
No, not here. We're all on chalk, mate. It'll all melt in on each other.
Oh, nice. Brian, what's your water preps like? I know firsthand like what you've got stored, but taking that storage out, which is quite substantial, what have you got ongoing?
Ongoing, I'm probably deficient on water. It would be rainwater collection from the drain pipes, standpipes, that kind of stuff. But within quarter a mile of here, there's a freshwater stream. It's an artesian spring, so I know the source, and it's walkable even if you're using a bike and a straddle carrier cans on it. If things went really bad, you could get water from there. But if it was a local water resource issue, go to a graveyard. There's always an outside tap. Just look for graveyards round about your local area and go there. But I need filtration. I've got life straws for everybody, but I really need to get the jerry can or a Berkey or something. That's on this year's aspirational list, mate.
All right, okay. 37 million power banks, but no Berkey filter.
No, not a sausage, mate.
You're almost bad as them failed preppers that don't have wood burners, Brian.
I know. I'm going to drown myself in my dry, empty bucket.
The thing is, though, can I just say something on that, Brian? The thing is with rainwater as well, it's like it's not clean.
No,
it's not like it used to be. It's like, but like when you collect rainwater, I've seen a couple of like people testing it, and the bacteria and the germs that's actually in rainwater. So like again, if you're collecting rainwater, I'll just add to Brian's thing. It's like it will need boiling. You can't just drink it. Like you will need to boil it. The same as even a stream. Even if like that stream's clean, you will still have to boil it. And you also have to be aware of chemicals in the water from nearby houses, farms. There's a lot to think about.
If it's a SHTF situation as well, you don't know downstream, upstream, who's defecating outside, who's using that stream as a toilet and a bath at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, boil anything you're not sure of. Even if I use the water to go, but I will still boil it to be sure.
Yeah.
If
you can, definitely. Yeah.
If you can, yeah.
We keep about 165 gallons of fresh water at all times, but that's only a buffer. That's not your long-term solution. It's a mid to short-term solution. The local spring would be my first point of call, but I really do need to sort out decent filtration. I've got lots of what do you call them? Purity tabs, boxes of that shit, but I still need to get some proper.
Yeah. Miss Worms put her 2 cents in there. If anyone says I've got big butts, they'll be in trouble.
And they do not lie.
Evil Girl 87 says I've got one water butt which is almost full. Mostly from emptying jugs of water when the tap was leaking. Husband took mess sorting it. I wasn't happy. That's one thing I'm deficient on, rainwater collection, because lack of any sort of garden or yard. In worst case scenario, right, you can open your wheelie bin lid and you've got a water collection right there, but just readjust the downpipes and stuff like that.
The thing is, Mike, if you've got anything like that, if you've got like the systems that I've got in place at home, you could literally get your rainwater, you could get the water out of the bin, you could stick it in there, boil it, and it's 100% fine. I mean, I've got a rain collection system in the garden as well. So I would literally, because that's not food safe, the water butt, which it collects water in, I can put that through the system and it will get rid of the microplastics and all the shit in it. So yeah.
Well, I've just got this ITIL reverse osmosis, which I've just released a video on. That's really good, to be fair. Once it kicked in, I mean, it was me nervously looking at it for 10 minutes at first. But once it kicked in, it chucked out water. It filters it into domestic water and drinkable water, but it started chucking out water quicker than I could. I just thought I'll put a glass there as a demo. No, you need buckets, you need jerry cans, because it really does churn it out. If you threw that into a river and not into a jug full of canal water, I imagine it would turn over quite well. Polonium has said, how much of a risk are agricultural pesticides? I know some water filters only filter out biological microbes, not chemicals. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, well, to be honest, the wrecking filter that I've got is similar to the Berkey, but they have things, they've got fluoro filters which contain porcelain, charcoal, silver, I think silver iodide or something like that. But they claim, and I've seen their test results, to get rid of all chemicals, drugs, anything like that out of the water, hormones, all this sort of stuff. So it's like this, for me, is my security blanket with water. And I've also got like 5 years worth of filters as a backup, because obviously you change the filter every year. So it's like, but the only problem you have with this is the dirtier the water, the harder it is to filter. I know that sounds strange, but it's like it starts clogging up the filters and that. If it's just that dirty water from a stream, then you're going to be okay. If it's really muddy, murky water, you start having problems with the filter.
Pre-filter it.
Yeah, you filter it and then filter it.
Yeah.
So filtering, boiling is one of the best things you can do. Any survival situation. Do you put much stock in the tablets, like the military ration tablets, the sterilization tablets?
Well, to be honest, we I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this online because my wife mentioned this and she got closed down. But anyway, so
sabotage away, Dave.
No, but it's like, I don't think it's legal. So basically, the tablets you get from the military are the tablets you get from the military, the water purification things. Now, my wife, she has. We have chlorine dioxide, which is it's basically a similar kind of thing, but it's in a liquid form. So you put the two liquids together, and it forms a gas that you put in the water, and it sterilizes. Now, the reason this gets closed down because people claim, not me, by the way, people claim that it cures all sorts of things. So this is why it gets certain people shut down.
Like when I mentioned the colloidal silver on one of my videos, they said I was giving unsound medical advice. I was like, no, I was just telling you my experience.
I think this is for people to go and find out for themselves. But we have chlorine dioxide, which will purify water. There's also other ways. You can do it ultraviolet. There's lots of different ways to filter the water. But with the military tablets, I've got to be honest, I'm not a great fan of anything military. I don't like the ration packs. I don't like the tablets. I don't like. I literally give away. I think it was like 10 of them on my YouTube, like American ones and English ones. It's like I'd rather go. Do my...
Some of us have to have army surplus, Dave, and some of us shop at Waitrose. There's just two different types of people in this world.
But yeah, tablets. I'm not a fan of them, to be honest.
No. Brian, have you got any of the little sterilization tablets? 1.5 litre per tablet, I think, on the army ones, or you can buy the Oasis ones. Yeah. I think it's I think that will be my last. Well, that'll be my second to last resort. So filtering, boiling. You've got the tablets in case you can't start a fire for OPSEC reasons, for any reason. And the last resort, obviously, would be so many parts bleach to so many parts water. But
exactly.
That would be.
And I think this is what the chlorine dioxide is, a similar thing, but it's on a more chemical level.
Yeah. Oh, we've already seen that one. What I want to know is, how is Brian going to cook them tin pies in an SHTF Dutch oven, perhaps? Well, there's all sorts of ways, and I'm sure he'll make loads. Brian, why aren't you jumping on this pie reputation and just showing us all the different ways you can cook a fry bento?
As I've frequently pointed out, I obviously jump on a few pies, mate. I carry them around as evidence on a daily basis. This should
be on the channel. Somebody sent me a video the other day to WhatsApp of Fray Bento's pie sat on top of an open fire, and it looked like it was cooking nicely, to be fair.
Right, I'll tell you what, I'll sacrifice half a dozen Fray Bento's pies, and we'll try cooking them with candles, right? Tea lights.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Everything in between. In fact, screw it, we'll even get a blowtorch. We'll do something ridiculous.
Well, yeah, here you go. Why is somebody with a blowtorch ridiculous? Are you jibing at my last video? What's going on here?
No, it was good. It was Dick Dastardly's kitchen. It was fantastic.
After a live where we talked about me setting myself on fire, I'm nervously turning the gas on a blowtorch. Looking to invest in a grill water bottle soon. They seem decent and helpful in saving space in a bag. What do you guys think of? Any of you guys seen the grills? The only thing I would say is they're bloody overpriced.
Yeah, I think I've got a lot of friends that use it, and most of the friends that use it are military guys, so they kind of rave about it. But it's to be honest, I think I looked at the price. It was like about 120 quid, something like that. I can't remember
for the small one. Yeah.
But it's like, now if you go for the soya water filter, it's about 40 quid. If you go for the water to go bottles with a filter built in, it's about 30 quid.
Yeah, I think the only advantage I saw with that grill is speed of filtering, because it has this pressure where you push it through. But I'm not sure how much longevity that gives the filter, because you're forcing stuff through it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm umming and ahhing on them, but I think unless the price point came massive, you got a 30% discount on that as well, Dave?
No, but I do know someone. I've actually got a friend that actually manufactures the systems I've got in the kitchen. So I can send you a link for that. So the fluoride filters that get rid of all the crap. These systems are still on the side. So
send us a link and we'll put it in the comments on this afterwards.
I've got a video on my channel. I think it hit TikTok about 15k views. Yeah, so it's on my YouTube channel as well. So yeah, have a look.
Cool. Right. Energy's done. Water's done. Energy's heat as well, kind of. Water's done. Food is obviously next, right? And as preppers, often we'll find ourselves sat in an attic surrounded by tins, you know.
Not
But
tin
obviously,
inside.
but obviously, I mean, it feels like a temporary fix, right? Self-sufficiency is about being able to sustain that long term. Dave, you've got a bit of a head start on this, on me, and I dare say Brian as well. But how do you start on that journey, growing your food? I mean, I know you can get a book and read and start planting in the odd plant pots and stuff like that. But every time I've looked at it, somebody's turned around to me and gone, "Oh, well, you need a 1 acre farm just to be able to eat for a year and stuff like that." How to get started on this?
Well, we started in our garden. Our garden's only about 5 meters by 5 meters. It's not huge, right? So we started in pots in the back garden, and we started easy. So we started with like really basic things to grow, and it was trial and error. You know, it's like everything's trial and error. We had a lot of disappointments before we actually learned how to do it. It's never got to live Waitrose down. But so basically, it's like so we tried that, and then fortunately through lockdown we got offered our allotment. So now this was our time to try and learn to grow, which was a really big experience. People go, "Oh, it's easy to grow your food. It's cheap to grow your food." It's not. It's a bloody lot of work. It's a lot of disappointment. But if you're starting out growing, look at like small areas of space. I've seen a bloke that lives 3 doors down from me. He's got a front door. He lives in a flat, but next to his front door, he's got pots of tomatoes and cucumbers in the summer all the time. You know, he grows his own bits out there. It's possible for anyone to do, even on a window box, even when we talk about sprouting and stuff like that after. But we grew most of the stuff before we had the lights in our windowsill, on the top of a chest of drawers, trays there, covered in the plastic tops. Just laid them in there in the sun, like, and they would be fine like that all day. Close the curtains at night, take the lids off, let them breathe. Same thing again. And before you know it, we've got sprouts and plants coming up like that you could literally eat from that position, just from the window. So it's not difficult to do.
What about quantity over time? Because it's a great subsidy to have to your normal food source, but could you live just off what you grow at the level you're at now?
Yeah,
that's good to know.
If we incorporate that we take out any stored foods that we have, the foods that we grow and forage and preserve would last us. I mean, we've got like something like 100 cans and jars in the cupboard, all grown by us, all foraged by us. So this is the secret. It's like you can't just grow your food, because like you say, you have bad weather. You know, you have a winter one year, you don't grow anything. You know, sometimes there's not enough, things fail. You know, but if you grow your food, you need to learn to preserve it. Because if not, it goes to waste. You get a lot of stuff that's like goes to waste, but if you learn to preserve it, which we'll obviously talk about later or so, but but it's like it's a cycle. So it's like you know, you need to grow your food, you need a way of processing that food and preserving it, because a lot of it will go to waste. You'll get some, and we've had it before. We've grown kohlrabi, and the kohlrabi are like that. They're huge, right? And they've got like slug that's eating a bit outside. So we just cut that off, literally cut it off, peel it, use the rest of it. You know, where most people go, "Oh, I ain't eating that," and throw it away.
You know, well, that's the culture we have, a very wasteful culture, right? Brian, apart from 3,500 Frey bentos and 12,500 cans of Pepsi, got any? Are you growing any food? Have you ventured down this path at all?
Mate, I would kill a plastic plant. That's a fact. That's we are.
Peace times is the times to learn, Brian.
It is, and I totally agree with that. So I would prefer to hunt bunnies, larger animals if I had to. That I could do. and possibly trade that with somebody who isn't the Harold Shipman of the latest world, like I am. It's
But that
something
is
I've
another
never.
thing, Brian. That is another thing. It's like hunting and stuff like that. It's like I've got videos. I teach people how to do trapping and stuff like that. Totally legal, you know. But in a shit hits the fan situation, I'd rather know those skills.
Yeah.
Than not.
Well, considering you've moved it on to hunting.
That's you, Brian.
Another argument you'll get back a lot of the time is the amount of animals we have compared to people. And if everyone suddenly decided they wanted to go out hunting, there'd be nothing left. There'd be 27 people shooting an arrow at one squirrel. Is that realistic assessment? Because I don't think a lot of people think in their head they can hunt because they've watched a film. Or they've watched Deer Hunter. Not quite, but yeah.
There's a couple of aspects to that question. The first one being that, yeah, everybody would think that, but one, half wouldn't have the kit to do it. Two, they wouldn't have the patience or skill set to do it. Hunting relies on reading the sign in the ground, knowing about the scent and how your scent transmits to animals, right? And that's if you're actively hunting. Ideally, you would be actively hunting while you're passively hunting, as in gill nets, as in a plank of wood with lots of hooks and lines off it, and the lee of a river. Lots of passive incomes for hunting, snares and traps, whilst you're actively hunting something a bit bigger that will maybe feed people for 3 to 4 months. But I still think people would aspirationally try that, and most would be dead within a month. Genuinely, I think most people would be dead in a month.
Yeah.
Starvation, poor hygiene, dysentery, everything in between, and predation on one another.
Held the ball the wrong way. Accidents happen.
Of course they do. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think if you could hunker down for the initial, again, this is an extreme event we're looking at, but if you could hunker down for that initial 4 to 6 week period with a group of like-minded people, once you were past that initial period, there'd be lots of little groups and clusters that hopefully you could trade with.
Yeah. Dave, I think this hunting tip is just for you from Stuart Lonnan.
But Brian, it's right, because there's so many things to think about, right? And everyone's seen Naked and Afraid and all these programs where they think they can go out with a sharpened stick and go and think, right? Animals are not stupid. I mean, deer can sense you from like hundreds of meters away. It's and also it's like you said, Brian, with the knowledge. I teach people how to set snare traps or make snare traps, and like wire snares and like I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but we do a lot of snare trapping, right? Just to learn the skills, and then we take them down and like put them away. But the problem is when you're in the real world, you set a snare, right? So you get your hands there, you set a snare, you put it there. Nothing's going to go near it because it's got the scent of you on, right? So animals will sense that. They will smell you on the wire, on the snare, on the wood, on everything like that. So it's, again, just knowing simple tricks like to wear gloves when you're doing it. I mean, I don't for my demonstrations because it's easier to do, but you would have to literally wear gloves. You would have to conceal them well. You would have to have knowledge of the pathways of the animals where they're going. That how to tell their crap. Different patterns, different tracks. It's so much into it, and it's also the nasty bit when you get to the end and you've actually been lucky enough to score an animal. How do you process it? How do you take it apart? How do you butcher it? It's like, how do you skin it and gut it? It's like a lot of people. I've been on courses with this, and you watch the people that are these hardcore survivalists, all like that, standing there like with a,
suddenly
big potatoes. And they're like. This guy, we went on a deer processing course. He said, "Who wants to cut the legs off?" I said, "Mate." Everyone else go, "No." Because the only way you can learn is by going to somebody who knows what they're doing. I mean, I could quite confidently now skin and hide a deer, gut it, butcher it, and store it. You know, it's like that is a good skill, and it was something I never knew. You know, so
I could definitely do rabbits and hares. I've never tried anything as big as a deer, but I am looking at courses because there is courses you can go on.
I've got a link for you. He's up your way.
There you go. He's up my what? What? Let's quickly go in the comments again. Mike, I have an illness that used to flare up a lot. Since I took colloidal silver, 0 flare-ups. That's great. Nothing to do with my advice.
Don't tell everyone.
Yeah, don't tell everyone. We'll get in trouble. £80 for a small one, 100 for LRG titanium 200. I think that's for the grey.
That's the water bottles.
Yeah. Cornish Bob said, if Brian can cook a perfect Frey bentos pie, I'm going to get a stack of them. Frey bentos.
That's worth a try. Stick it in a frying pan.
Yeah, I want to. Can't wait. Put a sealed one in the microwave, Brian. I'd like to see that video.
I'll put it in your microwave if you want.
Hello, Vicar. Miss Worm said during World War II, they reckon you could feed a family of 4 from one allotment on fruit and veg.
True.
There's a lot of controversial comments on this point as well. Can't wait for that video in Brian We Crust. I love that one. In Brian We Crust. The controversy is obviously Paul comes in and says you do need a lot of land to grow enough food and a lot of time, but a useful skill to have in case the neighbours' gardens become available. It's this whole how much land you need. Growing my own food is a main goal this year in my garden, says Cornish Bob. It's a lot ambition to have. Evil Girl 87, my nan said her dad ended up with around 4 allotments and grew all sorts. They even had chicken and ducks until they had to dispatch them.
Can I just add to that? I'll just add to that comment about the land. Now, our allotment is 150 square feet, I think. I don't even think it's 150 square meters. I think it's 150 square feet, right? And we can grow enough stuff for a family of 3 to probably last pretty much a year. We've still got squash. I've got like squash and pumpkins in the greenhouse that last for a year once they're out of the ground with no storage whatsoever. So literally we've got about 15 huge squash, which my wife's going to turn into squash and apple chutney. So it's
that's the kind of things is good to know what kind of things you can grow that will keep, you know. I've got loads of tips on that, but like, you know, it's like we can go as we go. But what I'm saying is the land is like a big thing, isn't it? Everyone's going, oh, you need acres of land, but you don't. We grow more in our short amount of land than most people with 3 plots. Yeah. Jakey here says growing enough food to actually survive off takes an immense amount of time and effort. Then you have the whole issue of storage. And Emma follows up with, I need to learn how to preserve things now. So that's where we're going to go. Yes, I love when we get a transition like that. Perfectly done.
He should be a DJ, shouldn't he, Brian? Wait for the drop.
Something like that. Wait for the drop.
Beatmaster Mikey.
Don't, because I heard the jokes in your own head when you said that, Brian. Anyway, yes, preserving food has got to be key. And there's many different methods to preserving food. And we can learn this through history, from salting meats and things like that, canning, jarring, dehydrating, when Brian actually takes it out the wrapper.
Still in the box, mate.
Still in the box. There you go. It's a nervous thing for a lot of preppers, Dave, because when you talk about jarring and canning and stuff like that, we're dealing with pressure cookers, heat, stuff like that. No, we're not. No, ignore Mike. I'll just.
But this is the thing. This is what a lot of people think, right? Because a pressure canner. Because my wife at the start, before we started, she's going, "I want a pressure canner. I want a pressure canner." They're really hard to get in the UK.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why, but so when we preserve food, I say we. It's mostly her, right? I do like all the donkey work, right? So when we preserve food, we bought a water bath canner. We bought the whole set for about £80 on Amazon or eBay or something like that. So we also dehydrate. So dehydrating and water bath canning. So the thing is with water bath canning, you can pretty much do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have that initial outlay, and then you can read a book, it's really simple. I
What
mean,
can I interject? What kind of outlay are we talking? Ballpark.
Well, first, say for instance that you want to start canning the veg that you grow in your garden. Nothing too serious, but on a small scale. Right. First of all, you're going to need jars. You're going to need jars. You're going to need a water bath canner, and the set that you get on Amazon that we got, you get everything. And the pot is huge. The pot is it's huge, and it's a lidded pot. And you get the rack in it. You get the jar remover with it. You get all the bits and pieces with it. Now, with this, it's like we've used it a hell of a lot. With jam, you don't need to do that because the heat of the jam will fill the jars. Does that make sense? So I'm probably saying with jars and that, you're probably talking about 100 quid. But that's the initial outlay. So once you've got that thing, all you need to buy then is jars, and you can reuse the jars.
Yeah. And you can reuse jars that you've already got from preserves you've bought, I assume, as well. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. I collect jars and use them as cups. People have seen them.
But the thing is, it's like we like Brian about the dehydrator. I mean, we dehydrate loads of stuff. I've done loads of videos and shorts and stuff on it. That we had our herb garden, so we no longer buy mixed herbs. We grow our own herbs. We dehydrate them and we grind them down. So we have like stored mixed herbs. We have medicinal herbs that we've stored and dehydrated, things like plantain and cleavers, and all sorts of stuff like this. So a dehydrator, that dehydrator is probably the same one as you got, Brian, but that cost about 80 quid. Maybe no, that was 105. Sorry, that was 105.
I think it's about the same one. Then it's the one from Amazon.
Yeah, Class-Stein, I think it is.
I think that's the same one.
Yeah, but we've used that and we use it non-stop. So we do everything from like jerky to herbs to like fruit, you know, and it's a good tool to have.
There's older-fashioned ways of dehydrating as well, isn't there? So you don't have to actually have the electricity. For example, if we were in a grid down scenario, you can dehydrate. There's old school ways of doing that as well.
Yeah.
What would you say, Dave? You use the most then? Do you dehydrate and jar just as much, or the canning? What I would say the best method.
See, we're kind of all over it. Well, I will say one thing, that like with the preserving and the growing and foraging and stuff, we're kind of like getting it down to a T after 5 years of experience. But the dehydrator seems to have done more for us because my wife, the leftover fruit we forage, she makes fruit leather. So my daughter doesn't eat sweets from the shop, so she gets like this natural fruit leather, like fruit rolls, but she makes them herself. And she makes shitloads of it through the dehydrator, you know, it's like a really good thing to have. So I would say the dehydrator was probably the most used out of everything.
Emma's just put in there, I heard you can use an Instant Pot for canning. I do have a setting on my Instapot that says that, but I've not tried it.
What is an Instapot?
It's like a pressure cooker, basically. It's a multi-function pressure cooker.
Oh right, okay.
So, but it does
Very
have
modern.
I'm
old to remember.
mine cost me £3 at an auction. So
yeah, I don't even know what they are.
I've never seen one.
Brian, do you do any preserving apart from Pepsi?
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, my head's pickled, mate. Mylar bags in oxygen sachets.
Of course,
I tend to break down bags of flour. So go for chapati flour, 10 kilogram bag, into Mylar pouches, oxygen absorbers, write the dates on them, then stick them in a big plastic tub. Then do the same with rice and pasta. So I think it's roughly about 180 kilograms of pasta, 180 of rice, and about 60 of the flour.
How much flour?
Not a lot. I think just the one small bag. I kind of screwed up because when I did the sugar with oxygen absorbers, I found out later on that you don't put oxygen absorbers in with sugar. It turns into a big solid lump. So I did not know that, and I found out the hard way.
Yeah, you can hack sugar off.
Yeah.
But for everything else, salt as well, salt, lentils, oats, that kind of stuff. I've mylar bagged all of that shit. But storage is a problem. I mean, it's really heavy. See all that kind of stuff. Bulk buy bags of heavy staples like that. It's really bulky. It's really heavy. So that's all now in mylar bags in big plastic tubs in the shed.
And how often do you check them?
More often than you do, apparently.
Didn't he? Had to go there.
Once a week, mate. Once a week.
Once a week. What do you do? Are you just checking for any compromise to the outer container? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking for any vermin that's been maybe scratching or clawing or biting through, because a rat or a mouse will claw straight through even a plastic tub if they can smell it. Yeah, but what I've done is put gaffer tape around all the seams and sealed them as best I can as well.
Yeah.
But
you can only do as much as you. Yeah.
Well, this is it. If they want in, the little buggers will get in. But I check for droppings in the shed as well and make sure there's no sign.
This is where your snares and traps should be outside. Rat makes a good burger.
Got traps inside.
Yeah. Humane ones. So you can set them free.
Oh, no. Miniature bear traps, mate. I'll cut the fuckers in half. I don't care.
Upsetting the animal lovers. Dave, there's a comment. A few different comments have mentioned this. I wonder if you can shed some light on it. Canning scares the life out of me because I lost 33 sheep to botulism, which is terrifying, which is apparently is what you can get if you do the canning wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it. And it is a risk. But again, you can get botulism from cans that you buy in the shop. It's not unheard of. Like, it's one of those risks that come with any preserving of food. And this is why they use a lot of chemicals in the food that you buy in the shop to preserve, like nitrates and stuff like that. But the thing is like, touch wood, we've been okay for the last 5 years. The thing is, once you reach a certain temperature in the canning process, once you get a certain temperature, it should kill all the germs. The botulism occurs and stuff like this is when it's not sealed properly, or there's like the seal doesn't connect.
Right.
Which can happen. And the chances are 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to tell it's going off anyway. We had one. My wife made some cinnamon apple sauce.
Yeah.
And when we went to open it, it was like the seal hadn't gone down properly, which you don't notice at the time. So anyone in a rush would just grab that and eat it. You know, so we check it quite regularly. So we found like this and one of the tomato ketchups she made as well. But the thing is like, if you do the process correctly, the risk of that is very low.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Can you tell if you open it? Like, obviously, if meat's off and stuff, you get a potent smell, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell if you put that in your mouth? Would you be able to go straight away? Or
no, not really. The thing is with things like bacteria and stuff, it doesn't always smell and it doesn't always show. Mm-hmm. So this is why whenever you get anything from canned, again, heat it to the right temperature. I mean, everything we have canned is reheated. You know, it's like, I would be quite confident, I've got to be honest, going into one of those cans and eating it straight from the can, because I've watched the process where she does, and it's literally, it becomes so hot that the liquid inside pulls the can lids on so tight you can't get them off. You have to have a can opener or a bottle opener to prise them off. So, but yeah, it is obviously a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, especially people starting new. So, I mean, just check your seals and always fully reheat, right? It's probably the best advice for new starters on that. Yeah. Full of Hope says, love pressure canning, 1 pound meat in a jar, ready to go. Dehydrator was too hard on the lecky. There you go. That's an interesting one. For the dehydrator, are they quite heavy on the power?
I don't think so. But the thing is, we go through so much power anyway. It's like our bills are phenomenal. Was just talking today about like our monthly bill of fuel is nearly £500 at the moment through the winter. It's phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? It's literally phenomenal. But the thing is, it's like the dehydrator we use because we use it as well to prime our sourdough starters. So when we're making sourdough bread, we use that to sit on the top of that, so it keeps it warm. So we run it quite a lot. Maybe that's why our bill's so high. But it's like we haven't noticed.
Could be a small factor.
yeah. No, but it's like we haven't noticed any increase by using that. Usually, it's the winter, it's the heating, the tumble dryers, and stuff like that. But it's not that I've noticed with the price. I'm not saying different people could have different tariffs and stuff like that. I don't know everyone's circumstances, but I personally haven't noticed a huge increase from using that to not using it.
Yeah, well, it's still shopping at Waitrose, so must be all right.
But the thing is as well, right? This is where it comes to again, isn't it? If the power goes out, the dehydrator goes. We have to go back to the old school, like slow drying and smoking and salting and preserving.
I interviewed a prepper on the Prepper podcast quite a while ago, South African prepper, and he sent me plans and details of how he dehydrates food, and it's using like big plastic tubs, and he does jerky in them. He's got racks built into them, just made himself, and all that's in there is 2 fans either side that you would get on a computer, which you'll know take a tiny, but
air drying them.
They take tiny amounts of power. I think it's 1 in and 1 out, but it's basically it dehydrates, but it takes a tiny amount of power. So that's always an option as well, because you could run that off a couple of batteries. Not necessarily nothing. I just shout out to Emma for the $4.99 donation. Says goes towards DJ turntables. That's never going to happen, Emma. But I really do appreciate the donation. Every little helps the channel. DJ, I can't be doing with that. So yeah, Brian, you're yet to experiment with the dehydrator, so it's pointless asking you about it. You'd no idea.
No.
Are you gonna try and dehydrate a Frey Bentos or a Pepsi? Just
actually, there's people that do that with the Pepsi, and they do the same with sweets as well. Apparently, that's a thing. My wife keeps telling me that you can buy dehydrated sweets.
Are you not talking about the freeze-dry sweets?
Yeah, it's freeze-drying.
Yeah, that's what it'll be then.
About 1,500 quid for a freeze-dryer, if you're lucky.
I don't think I'm going to get down that route. There's better ways of spending the money. But as far as using the dehydrator...
Another power bank!
Well, on that note, for what you get for the export tariffs...
Yeah.
It's not that great, really. So, in the summertime, if I was going to do a lot of dehydrating, I would just do it when the sun's out and you've got a lot of battery storage or a lot of free solar anyway. It's a better use of your money. Just do it that way.
Yeah. Full of Hope says, always buy good lids. Hate when a jar siphons. So I assume that's the quality of the actual product. I've been pottering on in the house and normally get a notification, not for tonight for some reason. Loads of people have said they're not getting notifications. It's what it sucks at the moment. But
it's not good enough, Rob. You should have been here at 9 o'clock. It's Sunday. What else have you got on a Sunday that's more important?
Exactly.
Heard all the excuses.
Spending time with family. Hunting is extremely difficult and novice will fail miserably, says Reese. He's very accurate. This is why you could start enjoying hobbies now in peacetime, which will help you in the future. Not everyone is going to have them skills to hunt a sea fish. Hunt a sea fish. I like the idea of that. And shoot, because I live in the environment, coastal and rural. Cornish Bob. I've done a bit.
I don't think people appreciate just how much energy expenditure's involved in the hunting process either. I mean, if you're sitting with a rifle or a bow, the medium of dispatching the prey doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of time stalking in the cold, standing, doing nothing, and you could still come back 6 hours later with absolutely nothing to show for it other than a mild case of hypothermia and anger management issues. So...
and you're going to rely on that, Brian. You've already got anger management issues.
I did say a passive hunting source was always your first choice, as well as hunting larger prey. So
Fish traps. You can make some quite simple fish traps out of bottles and stuff.
Gill nets.
I do I do fishing, right? And I could never fish, and I lived on the coast, and I didn't know how to fish. So I learned that, and this is what I'm saying to people: like, go and learn a skill. And now, like Brian says, in peacetime, as we live on the coast, I've never done fishing before. Like, sort of with my dad when I was a kid, and I went there, and it was my first time, and I learned how to make fishing rigs, sea fishing rigs, and stuff like that, all in a day. And on my first day, I caught 5 fish that would have fed me and my family. All went back because we didn't need them. Do you know what I mean? But it's like really a good thing to learn.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, but it's not easy.
And don't forget, when the natural problems of overfishing and overhunting, basically when there's less people on the planet, if God forbid it ever happens anything bad, nature recovers very quickly. Things will grow very quickly. Animals will come back very quickly, and there'll be a lot less people looking after them. It's just that initial period.
Yeah. I do need to bone up on some fishing. I've done a bit of sea fishing. I've done a bit off the piers as well. But my friend's a really experienced fisherman, goes to competitions in France and all sorts. So I've been trying to get him to let me tag along. In the comments, Lady J is like, Pepsi powder? Polonium says he could snort it for a quicker hit. We don't condone.
I'm going to have to try this now.
We don't condone snorting. But Harvest Right is the best freeze dryer. If anybody's interested in freeze drying or has the budget to do so.
That's valuable power bank money we're wasting.
I've spent many cold nights fishing, beach fishing, and coming back empty-handed. There you go. And that's probably somebody who's experienced in doing it. So don't rely on your soul. So when do you start, guys? This is a good question. We're going to go on to foraging shortly. But we talk about hunting, we talk about growing and stuff like that. With the supplies, you've got around your house and the stuff you've already got in stock, do you sit back and sit on your laurels for a while and wait till civil unrest dies down, then go out? Or do you need to start stockpiling and going out hunting straight away?
I wouldn't go hunting or anything straight away. Sorry, when you go.
No. Sorry, well, the thing is, it's difficult because you need the skills. So you need the skills straight away because it's like... and when you're growing your own food, you need to get seeds. I mean, we have a seed selection, and we've got thousands and thousands of heritage seeds, and they last pretty well. We're talking years. They say they give you a date, but they pretty much, if they're kept in correct storage, they last forever. But so we have the seeds ready for every growing season. Now, the skills to learn to trap and hunt, you need to be doing now. It's like there's no good doing them. Like it's like that saying, isn't it? When disaster strikes, the time to prepare is over. And this is the truth. And this is what preppers need to realise and survivalists, that when we got civil unrest on the street, you're not going to learn to go and hunt and trap. You trying to set a snare trap up if you haven't got a clue what you're doing could be dangerous. It's not a good thing. So I would say like now is the time to prepare for everything.
Yeah. Brian, when it comes to like the event, if it was an event, would you stay in or would you look to the hunting straight away, or would you be waiting?
I would be waiting a while till nature took its course. As callous as that sounds, because if you're away from your family, one of the means of defending your family is not there. If you've done it right, hopefully you've got all your things in place that you don't need to leave. The safety of your home, your street, your village, right? Hopefully you don't need to go far from there. You've got a secure location that you've got a reasonable amount of ground control. After a month to 6 weeks, there'll be a lot less risk because there'll be a lot less people in an extreme situation like that, in my humble opinion. So I would be hunkering in and I wouldn't be moving far.
Yeah, makes sense. Jay says, I used to control deer for the Forestry Commission up past Dumfries, and it takes an immense amount of energy and time. There you go.
Yeah, and that's just to get the shooting permissions.
Yeah, more than likely. The thing is a lot of preppers are basing what they do and what they think they will do on Hollywood, right? You know, I've got a bow. I've never fired it, but I'm going to go out and bag myself a deer, and magically I'm going to put that deer on the fire, and it's going to turn into perfect venison steaks. You know, but it needs some reality needs to bring. Anyone seen the movie The Survivalist? Woke me up. I think that's a good. Have you seen that one?
No.
That is actually a really good, gritty, real survival movie. Not Hollywoodized, I would say. So it's worth a watch if anyone's not seen it.
I'm still wanting to see Homestead, but I can't get it in the UK yet.
Homestead? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the one that's out in America just now. Basically, somebody drops a nuclear bomb in LA, and these people have got a homestead.
It's always LA, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've prepped. They've got different things. They've got food. They've got means of protecting themselves, and it goes from there. Looks pretty good.
I'll have to have a look for that one. The Survivalist is a real. It's weird because it's not the classic we're a group of people, we're all friends. A lot of the movie is silent. It's just a guy, you know, on his own sort of thing, just doing these things. Not Morgan Freeman narrating over the top of it. It's a really good movie. Philip Hull says people ate ducks, cats, dogs. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. In Argentina crash, prep to keep your pets if you want them safe. Yeah, this is a thing. I wouldn't like to try and tackle Brian's dogs anyway. Crayfish in rivers, lots in America. Crayfish in the rivers. All you need to do is set the pots and collect them. Good to know. Just trying to get to the bottom here. LA or Atlanta is always the ones in the disaster movie. Brian, it's cometh to Amazon Prime this month. There you go.
Oh, wicked.
There you go. Right. Well, I was trying to move swiftly on. We're getting on for time. Dave, foraging. Only recently. Only recently discovered, well, not discovered, but only recently started to practice more myself. Take the kids out, show them what they can eat, what they can't eat, how to pick it, things like that. Obviously, as a kid, we went out and get raspberries and stuff like you do. Blackberries and that. But how much can you forage? Because you are urban just like me. So how realistic it is to think we can forage enough?
Well, I'm kind of urban stroke coastal. So I'm in an urban area, but literally 10 minutes is the coast, right? So we got the coast there and we got the urban areas. Now, for example, when we forage a hell of a lot of stuff, but we don't take it all because there's other people. My wife is very conscious about leaving some for the birds and other people, right? And shit is the fan. I suppose those morals would go out the window. But at the moment, we forage, I've got a list here: hawthorn, rose hips, slowberries, sea buckthorn, which I'll tell you about in a minute, elderberries and elderflower, blackberries, wild rocket, hoary mustard, wild plums, wild fennel, nettles. All this sort of stuff is what we forage in the local and coastal area where we are.
Sorry, hoary mustard?
Hoary mustard, right. So hoary mustard is a brassica. So it's from the brassica family as well.
That's even worse. Hoary mustard is a brass.
so it's like a little plant, green plant, and it's got bright yellow flowers on. And you can't, like, I've got a video online. It shows you like foraging on the coast. But all these things that are down there is a lot of this we preserve. So going back to the dehydrator from the foraging, there we get something called, I don't know if you've heard of this, sea buckthorn. Now, sea buckthorn is found along the coast and in other places, but generally along the coast, hence its name. There's a little orange berry, and the thorns on it this is really hard to forage because you've got like 3-inch thorns. So you go to pick a berry and this thorn will go straight through your thumb. So it's very
Nice.
difficult to forage. But this berry is a super berry and it contains all 4 omega fatty acids and various vitamins and minerals. So it's like a super berry. So what we do is we take them, we de-seed them, we make a pulp, we dehydrate it, and then we make it into a super berry powder. So literally on the side, this is medicinal. So basically, if you've got cold or flus or anything like that, not that I'm giving medical advice, but it's just more for a vitamin intake than anything else. So we do, so we do that. But the thing is, when you walk down the street, have a look out for blackberry bushes, the usual stuff. Blackberry bushes. Look for plantain, because plantain is the pathweed, so it will be along pathways. Plantain is very medicinal and it's everywhere. Also, things like hawthorns, rose hips are pretty much everywhere. I've got rose hips growing in my front garden. Well, not now because they're dead, but you know, so it's like wild plums and stuff. It's looking for the areas, and you tend to find it's consolidated into certain areas. Does that make sense? I mean, we've got a nature reserve up literally about a mile walk from me, and there they've got wild pears, wild apples, wild plums. Everything.
Yeah, where I took the kids, for some reason, the abundance of wild rhubarb was ridiculous. There was just loads of it, absolutely loads of it.
And also asparagus. People don't realise that asparagus grows everywhere, because we grow asparagus at the allotment. But it's like a lot of farmers' fields have rows of asparagus, and people don't realise what it is.
Yeah,
you know,
not grown on purpose, just to, like, as a byproduct.
It's kind of, because it's like a perennial thing, isn't it? It just comes back and comes back. But foraging is quite simple if you go and look. You've got to get out on the street, get your feet on the street. Your local area map. This is what I do. I go, right, this is my local in my notes. I've got a local area map, so I know if I go a mile that way, then I've got an abundance of food there. Then if that's out of luck, 2 miles that way, I've got food there. It's like, and I think it's just I build up a thing, and I go regularly, so I can see the trends. If other people are picking up on it, it's like if they're having bad spells or something like that. But it's quite easy to do. All you got to do is look. But look for the basic things. Like I say, I've done a video. Look at the basic things that you know you can eat, because we've been it before, and I'm thinking, like, my wife's gone, that's a rowan berry. I said, I'm not sure if it's a rowan berry or something like that. And then we looked it up, and we double looked it up, and it was something like a firethorn berry, which is highly poisonous.
Right.
You know?
Good to look up then. Good to check.
You've got to double check with these things. I've got an app on my phone which is called Leaf Snap.
Right.
Which kind of, like, it's not 100%, but it kind of gives you different things what it could be. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like,
based on the camera, you actually look at it and
So basically, you get your phone, you take a picture of it, and the AI analyzes it, and it's usually 9 times out of 10 correctly. I mean, it could be that one time that kills you, but you know, it's like, I think it's like, with your knowledge, it's like I've got books on mushrooms, I've got books on foraging and stuff. Books like the Thrifty Forager and stuff like that are good things to have.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's also going to worry a lot of people who have never done it before, who are new preppers. If, like you say, if they pick the right berry, if they don't identify it quite right, and they're eating something that they shouldn't, that's always going to be nervous for people. So would you say, like, concentrating on stuff you can easily recognize is the key?
Well, the thing is, what I did a little short video, and it was like literally recognizing stuff. So if we go on the basics, you know what a blackberry looks like. Okay, there's not many things that look like a blackberry.
Yeah.
You know what a raspberry looks like. You know what wild strawberries look like. They're just like tiny strawberries. Now, hawthorn berries, like, I've done a video and it says how to recognize the leaves of it when you open it up, that there's a stone in the middle. So when you can go searching for hawthorns, you know that it's got this leaf, right? Okay, so I can double check. Now, has it got stone in there? Yes. Now, do I want to eat this raw? Possibly not, because it's quite bitter and it's got a lot of tannins.
Yeah.
So you can recognize things like that. And slowberries, that when you get blackberries that look like sloe, that when you brush your finger across on that nice purpley blue color of a slowberry, it changes black. So little tips that you need to find out how to find out what the things are that create rose hips. They grow on rose plants. It's not rocket science, you know. And you can get the rose hips that look like crab apples, the big ones.
Yeah.
Which people sometimes think, oh, I can't eat them because they're crab apples. And again, you don't want to be eating rose hips raw.
Yeah,
you know,
but
they all need processing.
So a lot of the time, it's not just identifying the individual berry; it's establishing the leaf that's alongside that and how it's grown and where it's growing that can establish what it is. Yeah. Brian, eat many berries outside your house?
No.
No.
No. All of the stuff that Dave was saying, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's lots of things that I know nothing about. When we were kids, we would go and we'd pick up wild strawberries, blackberries, different things, raspberries. And that's about the limit of my foraging. And that's something I've not done in about 30 odd years at least. So it's a subject I'm not. I'll just hunt the people to eat them because they'll be nice and tender.
Yeah. But this is why these podcasts are good, because like I've learned so much that I didn't know from you guys, you know, because it's a different take on it. Because I'm kind of traditional, old school foraging, hunting, growing your own food, traps and stuff like that, you know. And it's like where you're quite good on the solar and mine's quite good on bits and pieces. It's like it's good to transfer this information.
100%. It's a deficiency I've got in that side of things, like growing your own things. I knew when we were coming on tonight in the subject, I was pretty sure that there would be lots, and there is lots I know nothing about. So the canning, using the dehydrator because it's still in the box, the foraging, identifying the plants. These are all things that I need to brush up on.
Yeah,
I know nothing about them.
This is why we have these conversations, and often what people don't see is the fireside ends, and we carry on these conversations for hours at a time, sometimes, or an hour before. We're always talking about it, and we're all willing to learn. Let's quickly go through the comments because I'm way behind. My husband is a good forager. Leah, where nuts and fruit trees are when they are in season, and mushrooms too. Mushrooms has always been the daunting one for me. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate certain ones. Love a bit of chicken of the woods. If everyone has the same idea of hunting, foraging, there won't be a berry or a brown critter left in the woods. You say that, Jay, but how many people know? How many people? I expect the raspberries and the blackberries will be gone in the first season at least, but they'll let them raw and they'll be, you know, and you know that they'll be gone, the obvious ones. But hunting, not many people are going to be able to, you know.
Good luck foraging sea buckthorn without getting impaled.
Got a guy comes up from Cumbria all the time to forage mushrooms and other stuff for the big hotel he works for. Makes a fortune at it, apparently. There you go. Get a truffle pig. That'll be the investment as a prepper, right? Trapping is less energy than hunting. Need to forage on your journey too. Travel in pairs for security, preferably with comms too. Planning escape routes. Excellent advice all the way through there.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I say, if your hunting trip comes up with nothing, if you've foraged along the way, you're not going to completely starve. Is always a good thing. Got a cutting of sea buckthorn this year, but don't know if it's female or male yet. I didn't know there was a difference.
I wouldn't know because we don't actually grow it. So we basically just forage the berries because we have. I know I keep shamelessly plugging the YouTube. I've got a video on there and it's called Sea Buckthorn.
You're here to shamelessly plug away.
But go and have a look at it because like literally you will see the expanse of this stuff we have there and nobody touches it. They don't know what it is. It's too violent to get near, you know. But it's like it's everywhere. I mean, I could literally and sea buckthorn powder online sells for about £16 for like a little 200-gram packet.
You know, I have a supplement company, right, Dave? Maybe we could do some business here. We can start because that's the buckthorn capsule trend. What about the most important prep? Alcohol. It is a good prep.
Can you forage alcohol?
You can, I suppose. Well, you can forage any fruit can be fermented, right?
Yeah.
I mean, alcohol's a good prep. I've stopped drinking quite a while ago. I have a cupboard full of whiskey and stuff like that, and it's all fuel, it's bartering tools, it's everything. I'll bring you a nice bottle when we come and look at the caverns, Dave. That'll be my gift to you. Dried spices. I have 5 kilogram bags for all the major spices. You could eat wood with a decent spices. I'm not sure if you'd eat wood, but it's a good point. It's a really good point, because Brian talked about storing rice and pasta and stuff like that. And let's be fair, if you're just eating that, after a while, the depression's going to set in. So you can't have enough seasoning and spices in my eyes.
And they're just meal multipliers. You're going to need to add things to these. They're just staples. They're not something you would want or choose to eat. All there is a source of nutrition. Calories.
I think the thing is like, you're right there, and I think this is why we do so much. I mean, like, we make things like apple cider vinegar, we make chutneys, we make ketchups, we make our own dressings, we make our own tinctures, everything like this. To have the skills to even do that, you know, and alcohol is used a lot in tinctures and medical procedures and stuff that you medical tinctures and stuff like that.
Yeah, food fatigue. That's what I was trying to think of. I don't know if Lady J is just saying random words. Hopefully somebody knows what this is, but she says goosegrass cleavers, sticky woolly for diuretic purposes.
Now we've got that, Lady J. Is it Lady J?
Yeah.
So we collect that, and it's really weird because, like, a lot of people realise that when you was at school, your mates used to throw it on your back.
Oh,
sticky willy, and it's like that. So basically, it's
sounds like a bad porn film.
woolly, whoa.
So you can go around and collect it, let it dry naturally, and then dehydrate it. And it's good for so many ailments. Medicinal. We have things like plantain, sticky willy, lots of different things.
I would recognize that instantly, and I know exactly what you're talking about as a kid, but I had no idea it was edible in any way, shape, or form. Which is weird, isn't it? So that's
medicinal, definitely.
My local B&M got fruit trees in this weekend. If you know any out of the way areas, it's a good idea to do a spot of guerrilla gardening.
That's a good idea. That
planning ahead, prepping, and using common ground for it. Yeah, it's there's always a risk with it, guerrilla gardening, but definitely, that's really cool idea.
Yeah, good idea.
Emma says, I remember in primary school, teacher took us out forage mushrooms. We fried them in butter in a camping store. When we got back to class, the 80s were very different. Yeah, there you go. You used to actually learn stuff in school that might be useful. It's a shame stuff like that's gone. What she doesn't tell you is the entire class was high as a kite. That SAS book is amazing. Gary mentioned that. Somebody else mentioned food for free. I lost the comment now, but food for free is the same size as Brian's survival guide. It's on my shelf over there. I'm not going to grab it, but it's the same size, a tiny little Collins pocketbook, and that's got loads of ways to identify leaves and stuff like that. Just going to try and get roughly to the bottom. Someone mentioned smoking as well as a way of preserving meats and foods, which is not just a good way of preserving it, gives it a great flavour.
I've actually got someone making me a smoker, Mike.
Yeah?
Yeah, he made me my rocket stove that's on my channel. He made that, handmade it, because he's a steel fabricator and stuff like that. So he said, is there anything else you want that like you can do a YouTube video on? I said, well, I really never tried a smoker, and he's gone, done. So I give him a design that I found online. Like it's about like 3 foot high.
Ring him back. Make sure he knows you need 3 of them. For continuity, you need to have 3 exactly the same. We'll handle shipping.
The same thing.
Yeah, we'll handle shipping. Any ideas for what self-defense martial arts could a woman take up? Dave, this is all you.
Right. The thing is with martial arts and stuff, you have to live in a real world, right? And this is what I find when I get so many girls come to my training. They go to learn karate and stuff like that, and it's not really practical for an attempt if someone's trying to get hold of you. Now, my personal opinion on martial arts, I think judo is a great martial art. So a lot of people rate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a woman because it's a lot of groundwork and stuff like that. Again, it's probably a good thing. I'm not a great fan of it because I think it's just rebranded judo. So I think traditional judo and some sort of striking art, you don't have to be like Ronda Rousey and be a good fighter. But if you've got some fraggle and he's got hold of you and you punch him in the nose, the chances are he's going to let you go, and learn
Shock
how to
factor.
yeah, shock factor.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
judo and some sort of boxing or Muay Thai.
Yeah. There you go. There's your advice, Emma. And if you live near Dave, he'll train you.
Yeah,
Blackie
absolutely.
Blackstone, on that note, when I was in middle school, we had Hunter's Education class. How
Wow.
awesome
Wicked.
would that be?
That'd be good.
Wow.
Right. One more subject. Sorry, guys, I'm keeping you. If you've got to shoot, you've got to shoot.
No, you're right.
All good. Crack on.
I've got about 6 subjects on my list.
Oh, you chime in anytime you want with a subject, but I want to talk about poo.
What?
I want to talk about human waste, and this is something we have to think about for self-sufficiency, right?
Sounds shit, Mike. Sounds
Yeah.
shit.
It does, yeah, but your water and your toilets are not going to work forever. So part of self-sufficiency, if you had a big homestead, you would have a septic tank, right? And that would get pumped every so often, sort of thing. So in the self-sufficiency thinking, have you thought about number ones and number twos, Dave?
Well, I think about it every day, to be honest. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like we discussed this before, didn't we? And it was like literally the cases of having the sanitarial supplies, if that's even a word. But it's a lot of like doggy waste bags, things like that. And if the shit was to hit the fan, then because I live in a house, I live in an urban area, there's people left, right, and centre of me. Go to the furthest part of your garden, dig a hole. Get a bucket or a portable camping toilet, which we spoke about before. Do the business, bag it up, go and bury it in the back of the garden. Lime, put some lime powder on it to smell, and it's like, because you can cover bodies in that as well if that ever could become a problem.
I suppose the question is, I've seen instances where people have set up where it's a toilet with a little pipe in front of it. So, gentlemen, you can separate hose from back door. And back door, the feces can be used as a fertilizer, right? Surely that can help. No?
No. It's really weird because this is why human waste cannot be used as fertilizer. It's really bad.
I'm regretting
I thought this years ago, and I thought like, well, all you got to do is take a crap in your back garden, fertilize all your plants. But the amount of crap we have in our diets, the medication we have in our diets, is really bad for your plants and the soil. Same as I think it's things like cats and dogs. Their poo is not suitable. This is why they use cattle.
Yeah.
Because they're grass fed most of the time and stuff like that. But it's really weird because it's not actually suitable as a fertilizer. It's actually toxic.
Right. So you'd avoid that completely then.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I saw it on one of the American prepping homesteader things.
Yeah.
And the guy was dumping a bucket, and eventually this bucket was then processed and used as fertilizer.
Was he married to his sister?
Potentially, but we won't stereotype.
No. But it's. I mean, I can imagine people do it. But when you actually grow your own food and you look into these things, because it's something I was interested in, I thought like, well, there's cat crap all over the garden. Why can't we just collect it up and put it in with the plants and the soil? My wife's like, no, you can't do that because it contains this and this and this, because she's a bit of an expert in the growing. And I'm just like, okay, so no pooing in plant pots. Right.
No pooing in plant pots. Top advice on the Preppers Fireside.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But Brian, Bear Grylls said we could drink our wee.
Yeah, he can crack on. I mean, if he drinks mine, it's probably half a can of Pepsi. He'll get out of it straight away. Crack on, Bear. I think you'd need to, if it was catastrophic, you need to have a conversation with your neighbours, with your street, with your village, early doors, because the pump stations will be down. There'll be no flow of water. you might be up to speed on sanitation, but very quickly their problems next door on either side of you will become your problems very quickly. So everybody in your local area needs to be singing from the same hymn sheet, or things will get bad really quickly in terms of dysentery and everything else that could go with it, cholera. So if you're already cutting down trees for firewood and stuff like that anyway, gather up the sawdust.
True.
Make a composting toilet.
Yeah.
You'll separate the urine from the solids anyway. When they do their business, they take a handful of the sawdust, they fling it on top. So you're going to need to build latrines for the number of people in the street, village, whatever network of people you're supporting. But you need to do that early doors, and also block up the separators at the end of the street and make sure everybody knows.
Yeah. Pro Plus says, what if you don't have a garden?
Then you need to find a patch of waste ground that you can dig up. You're only ever a couple of paving slabs away from something that you can dig.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is as well, it's like even if the shit went down and the water went down, your toilet system would literally
Are we
still
really
operate
talking
if
about
you've got
vegan
water
shit?
stored. So this would literally, this is where you would say, who had the it was you with the water filter, wasn't it, Mike? Wastewater and clean water.
Yeah.
So basically, any wastewater, if you can still take a dump in your toilet and wash it down with a bucket of water, it will still go where it's meant to go. You know, unless your toilet.
It's when it starts coming back up. Is the
yes.
But the thing is, I mean, that would take quite a while. I would think, but it's
depends where you live in relation to the flow. If you're at the bottom of a hill, it'll become your problem quicker than the people at the top. Obviously, the sewage pipes.
We're on the top of the cliff at the coast, so we should be all
that's
right.
fine then. Crap freely, my friend. Crap freely. But no, as a thing, I think sanitation would be something that would cause problems for most people very quickly.
Jay says human waste is used as fertilizer. Farmers get biosolids from United Utilities. I assume that's treated in some sort of chemical way. We wouldn't be able to do as Joe blogs, I'm assuming. Drinking your own pee is bad for your kidneys. It's bad for your everything. It's bad for your taste buds. It's bad for your morale. It's just bad.
The only time you drink your own pee is if you've been drinking 60% whiskey.
Yeah, that's it. And then I wouldn't drink it. I'd just be using it as fire fuel.
Yeah, it's still 30% proof the next time.
You want to see a human flamethrower, ladies?
Or the smooth taste of Pepsi Max.
Oh, that's no fuel. That's no fuel. Didn't Matt Damon use his own shit on Mars? What do you mean, not real? There you go. Yeah, the Martian. This is it. Learn all your prepping from Hollywood, guys. You'll be absolutely fine. Kelly's Eye, latrines, good enough for the army. There you go. Say no more. I recommend Krav Maga for keeping safe. I've heard this a lot, Dave. What do you think of Krav Maga?
Well, mate. Well, we spoke about this, didn't we? The thing is like, if you can get true Israeli Krav Maga, right, it's a very good thing. The military teach it. It's very brutal. It's like to the point. Is it going to work in everyday situations? Not particularly, unless you're going to get done for manslaughter or murder, right? This is a problem. But the problem I found, and I trained Krav Maga for 3 years, and I found that the people teaching Krav Maga in the UK are usually ex-military guys that are just looking for a little side hustle. They've done a bit of self-defense, and they kind of like, they wear the camouflage trousers and black t-shirt. Not me, but yeah, they do. And I've been there, and literally I got kicked out of one Krav Maga class because I was too rough. And I was like, they asked me to do something and demonstrate it. So I think a lot of it is not what it should be. Now, Krav Maga, I'm not putting it down on it as a whole, because it was invented for self-defense for the Israeli special forces and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's been brought across and been watered down so much that, like, literally, you know, I've got a key here. It's a gas radiator key. But, you know, if someone attacks you, you stand like this and you poke their eyes out with your keys and then you can take them down to the floor, stamp on the groin, re-stomp the groin again, and it's like it doesn't work, right? Trust me, from a guy that used to do the doors, I've got a history of violent encounters in the street from when I was young. Nothing happens like that. It's usually fists. It's very quick. It's very aggressive, and you ain't got time to get your keys out or anything else. It's like learn something practical, like a striking and grappling art, and I think you'll do well. Or go to an official Krav Maga place.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you
I've
go.
settled the Krav Maga fans now.
There you go. Keep eating MREs. You won't poop ever, says Full of Hope. That could be said for hospital food. I can testament to that. How does Mike know it tastes bad? Banned again. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to.
I want to know.
Can I say something about poo, Mike? Because like you're on about poo, right?
Sure.
It's like literally. There's also the something that we store, which is actually quite a strange thing to store, is we store spirit figs. I call it spirit of figs, but it's actually syrup of figs, because the spirit of figs helps you go, right? So in a shit hits the fan situation, literally, if you are struggling or you get constipated, it can make you not well at all, especially eating crap food, right? So store some syrup of figs in the cupboard, Brian, to go with your Frey Bentos pies.
Brian is naturally lubricated with the chemicals of Pepsi. So.
I feel so attacked right now.
Has anyone made their own MRE packs? What would you recommend as contents? I would recommend you do not make your own MRE hot meals like I did and could have poisoned myself, and Canadian Prepper did. And also he could have poisoned you with the same advice. So yeah, ignore them videos. I did a retraction video anyway, but
I've made MRE packs the same.
Just like pre-packed stuff and like dried.
Basically, we did a lot of what we did is like we made chocolate brownies. Yeah, so like we made chocolate brownies, put them in the dehydrator as much as you can to dry them out as much as you can, wrap them in foil in the MRE pack, like oxygen absorbers. We also made hot meals.
Mm-hmm.
We did make hot meals, and but what we did was we dehydrated them. So basically, what we did, we put pasta, we got vegetables that we dehydrated and put in there, like a posh pot noodle.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All we've got to do is add water. So we've made our own stock. So we've dehydrated gravy, we dehydrated the vegetables, and the bits and pieces that go in it. Seal it up, and it's good.
Yeah.
No air in it, no moisture in it. But yeah, there's lots of ways you can do it.
I heard if you caught short in an English country garden, you could pull down your pants and fertilize the plants. Random.
Yes. What would you do if you wanted to have a poo in an English country garden? Yeah, it's true.
The whole chat's gone into defecating on things. So I mean,
we add one quick subject, Mike?
Go for it.
That you was asking about earlier about the sprouting.
Yep.
Now, you can buy one of these little sprouting cubes that you can get on Amazon, eBay, about $8.99 to $12.99. Okay. On there, what we do is we've done bean sprouts, we've done broccoli shoots, radish, kale, lentils, fenugreek, peas. You can do your microgreens, like you say. But also, an interesting thing, we buy organic wheat berries. Yeah. So this might be one for you, Brian, as well to store. Is organic wheat berries. As you come, you get the wheat, and you know what wheat feels like, natural wheat. So when you get that wheat, it's really high in vitamin E and protein and stuff like that, and carbohydrates. It's really good for you. But when you sprout the wheat berries, right, and you get the shoots, you dry the shoots, dehydrate them, and you make flour out of them. This raises to a really high content in vitamin C. So it's really actually very good for you. It's actually better for you when it's been shooted, and you can eat the wheat sprouts as well. But it's a really good thing And an interesting thing that like you can actually change the chemical composition, the nutritional value from a seed to sprouting. Really cheap setup.
I imagine if
good to
you're dehydrating that and grinding that or basically turning that into flour, you'd need quite a lot to kind of bake from it.
Yeah. See, what we do is when we do it, we mix it with the organic grain. So we do a bit of 50-50. But when we make sourdough bread and stuff, at the moment we're using like I think it's 30% spelt, I think it's 40% wheat, and then we use the ground up wheat seeds, wheat shoots, and stuff like that, and also a bit of rye. So it's all natural organic seeds, but we kind of mix them. But yes, you would need quite a bit, but it's really quick, Mike. They grow really quickly. I mean, my wife, broccoli, when she was sprouting broccoli, she was having it on salads, and literally within a couple of days, she had handfuls of it. It's a really quick fix. And again, look online how to do it. It's a really simple process, and there's so much you can do on it.
Have a shifty.
Sorry, I just had to add that because I think it's a good tip.
No, not at all.
No,
it is.
Definitely. I've been looking at like, because obviously the limited space, I've been speaking to you, Dave, about it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've just picked up from IKEA the other day some trays for the windowsill. And I'm purely going to start off doing herbs and doing a herb garden on the windowsill just to kind of get around it. But I have been looking at the microgreens and stuff like that because they're apparently fast to sprout in the same sort of way. And you're harvesting the very top.
I'm going to show you a little tip now.
Yeah.
So if you go to your pound shop or whatever and you buy these, and they've got the removable lids, like so. It's only because they're here that I'm showing you. So now these, you put your plants in soil to do your microgreens, and then you leave these in this. It creates its own ecosystem in it, right? So you leave this in the window, even in the winter, as long as you've got sun coming in, and you leave it, and you'll start seeing it mist inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's it, because the plants are breathing as they're growing, they're creating their own moisture in the air. And then every now and then you'll take the lid off and you'll let it rest. And then you'll take the lid off and you'll spray it with a little bit of water. You leave it for another few days. We literally had these trays twice as deep as these, and they were full of pea and bean shoots, literally like that within a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So, and then we had 3 of those full. So it's like you say with the window boxes, it's another good idea for window boxes or people that don't have gardens. You can still get something edible from a plastic box.
I mean, that's a great way for people who have never done this before in the chat to start off. You know, just a box like that off to one side as an experiment. Most people have the room for something like that. So that's really cool. Thank you for that, Dave. Really appreciate that. Blackie Blackstone. Then what about water storage? And I thought, is he talking about, you know, like bottles and stuff like that? No, he said he tried to make dehydrated water, but didn't know what to add to it. There we go.
Try water.
I'm just looking. Microgreens, thumbs up from Band again. Pea shoots are tasty too, says Anne Lockie. I've heard of someone making bread using yeast from a... Yeah, we won't go there. I should read these before I click on them. Thank you, Amphia. There goes the monetization. And it wasn't Brian this time. But what he's on about, I've actually seen the video clip because I think I saw Daz Black react to it because that's who the missus watches. Yeah, it's a bad idea. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that. Ladies.
Talking about... what's that?
So many
yeast. Sorry, mate. Go to the comment first.
So many typos. I have a Walt go 5 gallon organic wheat berries. I have a mock mill and manual one, but this sprouting is very interesting. Cheers, says Full of Hope.
You're welcome. So just talking about yeast because of that last comment, it just got my mind thinking in a good way. Now, as we said before about being a self-sufficient and stuff like that, and I think it's quite important. I know I rabbit on, but it's like just trying to get all this information in a short amount of time. So now we there's a link.
What the fuck? Why would you put that up there?
we make our own sourdough bread, and we have our own sourdough starters and stuff like that. So we have the scobies. So this is a good thing to get. Like, if you can get into, or you know someone that has scobies, I think ours is like about 2 years old now, and you just keep repeating it. So it looks like jellyfish in a jar on the side. So what we do is, my wife makes kombucha with that. We make apple cider vinegar with that. All the same microbiomes that are in it, and we make our sourdough bread, which we call Betty. So because my wife likes to talk to it, because apparently it's like it helps it, but you know. But you know, it's like, these things are really good things to look into, because they last for a long time, and they're really good for your gut health, and especially in shit hits the fan. Having the knowledge to having probiotic foods like sauerkraut, kombucha, sourdough bread, apple cider vinegar is a great tip and a great thing to have as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Seymour Outdoor mentioned, what about composting? It's a good point. I think if you've got a garden and you're doing that, you should definitely be composting right all the time. That's only going to help.
And keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Don't defecate.
Keep the composting clean. Don't chuck loads of crap in it. No pooing in it.
Miss Worm is now on a different government watch list. I think that's about it. That's it from my notes. Was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up?
It was basically all I had at the start was like easy foods for beginners to start growing.
Yeah.
So just a quick list before we go is cucumber, celery, lettuce, tomatoes, spring onions, potatoes, radish, beetroot, peppers. Really easy things to grow that you can just grow in pots or bags in your front garden, or even on your doorstep or whatever.
A lot of people do peppers and chilies and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. We grew, I think we counted 400 red hot chili peppers we grew this year.
Yeah.
Loads.
Not the band. You're not the band.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to add that. Sorry.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah, so thanks everyone in the chat. Big shout out to Emma, who has been the sole sponsor of tonight's live with her $4.99 donation, usually countering Brian getting us demonetized. But I think Miss Worm has achieved that tonight. That's a first for Miss Worm, getting us probably demonetized with that. Despite that, before I let these gentlemen go through their channels, we will play Miss Worm's advert. She is our awesome moderator. She does have a channel. It is not prepping, but it's cool, and you need to go and check it out and show her some love. There we go. So Miss Worm has just posted her link in the chat. Make sure you go and show us some love, subscribe, give us some likes, have a listen, and let her tingle your spine. Dave, you've not managed to plug your channel at all tonight, so
no,
I'll give you I'll give you a couple of minutes to tell people all about the Urban Survivalist, what you've got going on, and what's coming soon.
Okay, right. So my channel's the Urban Survivalist. It's basically learning to be pretty much what we've spoke about tonight, being self-sufficient in urban areas. We cover a lot of things like foraging, baking our own bread. It's like growing our own food. But I also do things like urban survival. So we look at local knowledge, urbex, abandoned buildings, tunnel systems. I also do self-defense. I'm a self-defense instructor. So every now and then I chuck a little self-defense tip on there. But yeah, lots coming up. At the moment, I'm just looking at a new tunnel system. I'm also looking at doing a martial arts self-defense seminar for street self-defense, which is coming up. And also foraging courses and food growing courses. Lots coming up. Have a look. Cheers.
There you go. Perfect. So Miss Worm has posted Dave's link recently just there in the chat. So make sure you go and give the Urban Survivalist a follow and find out how to pick the berries without putting a thorn all the way through your thumb. Brian, surely you've polished this sales technique now. Tell us all about Scottish Prepper 73, what's been going on and what's coming up.
My channel's shit, as you know. It's half-arsed. I can't really be bothered editing. I do it when I can be bothered, and it's subjects that interest me. So I tend to concentrate on stuff like bug-out vehicles, technology and kit that makes your life a bit easier. There's lots of things that Dave knows I would benefit from greatly, so I'll need to have a look at that. That's a whole big hole in my subject matter that I don't know anything about. So yeah, I go for tech-based approaches, which would be fine as long as the tech's there. But once that runs out, I'd be bollocksed. So next video I think is going to be on the dehydrator. I'm going to break it out of the box. So we'll see how that goes.
Miss Worm has posted, Brian, it's a bit crap, but it beats EastEnders with the link. There you go.
How rude, but accurate.
Brian needs PR stats. Brilliant. No plug from me. No plug from me. I'm already wearing the merch. I'm already showing off the Prepper Fireside mug. Miss Worm's got herself one of them as well. Full of Hope has also got one on the way to her as well. So everything helps towards the channel, but I will plug the fact we still have a few spaces on the Scottish Prepper meet. I'm also in talks with somebody about one further down south. So watch this space for another meet coming up soon.
Awesome.
The fact that my entire canopy and tent all went moldy over the last month means I've got a lot more work to do for this prepper meet. But there you go. Paul C is helping towards getting a canopy back with $4.99 donation. Apparently Asterix's count in the swear box, apparently. But yeah, so come and see the prepper meet. I posted it again recently on the community page. It's 25 quid for a pitch, whether you bring a family of 6 or whether you're on your own, it makes no difference. That's for 2 nights. And at the end of June, you probably can't get that price anywhere else for a pitch anyway. Yep. So come and check it out. Campers are welcome. Few people have asked me, but there's no hookup. So make sure your camper is able to be off grid for 2 days. Yeah, and thanks to Hawkins now, we will have super fast internet there. So we will be definitely doing a Prepper Fireside live stream and live show from the prepper meet, which should be awesome. So we just need to find a way to drag Dave up there now. Dave is nearly at 2,000 subs, so make sure if you've not already,
am I?
Wow. Yeah, go and subscribe. Brian's nearly at 1,000. Dave's nearly at 2, and I'm on the way back down, so they're going to pass as I lose them. So.
Not likely.
Right. Thank you very much for everybody in the chat taking part. Thank you for everyone who's liked, and make sure you do. All we ask for this is the donations are appreciated. Everything's appreciated. But all I ask from the Fireside is follow these guys as well. They give up their time for us lot just to talk to them and pick the brains. So if you do nothing else from this video, go and subscribe to Scottish Prepper 73 and the Urban Survivalist. Dave, final thoughts and goodbyes?
No. Goodbye. Thanks for everything. I think final thoughts is just start thinking about being more self-sufficient wherever you live. It's easy to do. Just have a little look into it. It don't matter whether you live in a flat, a bed sit, or a big house, or you've got acres and acres of land. Just make the first step and have a quick look. Take care. Bye-bye.
Go. Brian, final thoughts and goodbyes?
Listen to Dave. He knows more about this than me, and I'll need to start watching his videos.
Yeah, and we're all looking forward to Brian's upcoming pie videos and how many different ways he can destroy a Frey Bentos.
I'm stunned at the obsession with these fucking pies.
You need to jump on this. You need to jump on this, Brian. Honestly, if you jump on it and get loads of viewers, we might get you sponsored by Frey Bentos. That would be a good one.
Mate, I think I'm going to have an OnlyFans account with these things. You'll see me on an OnlyFans account like this. It's the Frey Bentos, man.
Oh God. Oh, don't subscribe.
Oh.
Right.
I ain't gonna sleep tonight.
See you later, everyone. Goodbye. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
being here.
Take care.
Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid. Preppers live unafraid. At the preppers' fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.